Hi everyone, welcome back to the class in Principles of Management. Today we're covering chapter 9 and this should be fun. So we are looking at organizational structure in terms of what does it look like from a vertical or horizontal configuration, in terms of department, the job that you're doing, and the authority that is given to someone. We're also looking at organizational process, the collection of activities that transform inputs into outputs for customer value. So typically, let's just an example of what it might looks like in a Microsoft organization. We talk about email, phone, all the different things that they are doing. So as we said in the introduction, we are departmentalization and organization, creating the organization around certain things such as functional, product, customer, geography, matrix. Not sure why my C is on the other side, but we will take a look at that later. So when we think about functional departmentalization, again, this is how we are organizing the organization or structuring the organization. We can look at it from a sales, accounting, if it's an insurance company, different type of things. If it's an advertising agency, sales, accounting, art department, and so on. Same thing with functional. There are some advances and disadvantages that you can think about as they go through some of these things. For example, you might see communication and coordination problems are lessened in a functional environment versus it may be slow to make decision. That can be a disadvantage. Product, the same categories of things are going on, but you're basically looking at, okay, how do we organize it from a product standpoint? And again, we look at some advantage and disadvantage, and you might see some similarities here where decision making is faster, easier, as opposed to the disadvantage might be difficult to coordinate across the different departments. Same goes through for customer departmentalization as well as geographic departmentalization. Where the major difference lies right here, see the same thing with customer departmentalization is matrix departmentalization, which basically taking two or three of the other departmentalizations and putting them together in one. So you can see there's beauty, might be CQ beauty, where you're looking at product, customer, all the unique things that might go with that. So from an organizational authority, there are different ways we look at that. There's the chain of command, line versus staff, delegation of authority, and degree of centralization. What do we mean by those things? So let's take a look at this. Let's dive deep into these four things from an organizational authority. So the chain of command, we're looking at who's reporting to whom. So workers report to only one boss. There's a vertical line of authority, so therefore it's basically looking at in this department, I am reporting to this person up the chain of command. Typically, that workers report to one boss is usually violated in the matrix organizational settings because, as we mentioned earlier, you can have more than one. Usually, there is more than one of the other departments and organizations that you put into this category of matrix organization. When we think of line versus staff authority, the line authority, usually what you'll find in the line authority, they have the right, they can tell you basically what to do, basically, and they actually can organize around that. So you're reporting to this person, vertical reporting. So they have the right to do that. They can tell you when to come to work, how to work, all those things. Versus the staff authority, they can advise you, but they don't have the right to basically command you. So they can advise you, but they can't command you. So there are two different concepts at play right here, right? The line, you're reporting directly to someone, so they can command you, they can advise you. You are in that category where you have to listen to this person, uh, as opposed to the staff. They can advise you, but they can't command you. So delegation of authority, this is where you think about, okay, I'm assigning certain tasks, and you might see it in the images. Picture speaks 1,000 words. So you will see manager delegating responsibility, delegating authority, but the accountability stays with the manager. So just basically, again, if you look at the words, that's basically what this is saying right here: the assignment of direct authority, but the responsibility stay, basically look at it from that way. But in the end, the accountability stays with the manager. So you can delegate the responsibility, you can delegate the authority, but the accountability stays with the manager. Again, just to distinguish between authority and accountability, I'm assuming that you probably understand this concept. But again, authority just means that the person can do the work, the person can probably go out and delegate certain things, but at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, the manager is responsible for it, and that what it means by accountability. So when we think of degree of centralization, there are three things that we're looking at right here: the centralization of authority, decentralization of authority, and the standardization of things. So let's look at it. So primary authority is held by upper management. So wherever upper management lies, they could be in New York, they could be in San Francisco, wherever they are, primary authority held with manager. It could be in London, Dubai. Decentralization, on the other hand, a significant amount of the authority is found in lower levels of the organization. So that might say that they're just delegating. You can make decision up to a certain point. You can make decision up to a certain point. You allow them to give them the authority, the autonomy to make decision up to a certain point. Uh, Standardization, basically solving problems by applying rules, procedures, and processes. So typically, if you're thinking about a certain things that need to be done on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis, like a budget or something like that, uh, it is standardized. So you're solving the problem by applying these rules, procedures, processes that are in place. You just apply them to the problem that comes up in this particular settings. So job design, basically, so we think of this concept of job design as the job specialization, rotation, enlargement, enrichment, job characteristics model. What does all these mean? All right, let's take a dive into these. So job specialization, basically, so again, when they refer to job design, they're thinking about some project or something you're doing, and they want to figure out how do we change them, modifying them, re-engineering them, to basically work for you or someone else. So that could be a case where a job that is usually, so the specialization of that job is usually in part, where we are saying, okay, there's a large task or process, and we want to just break it down to smaller stages. Okay, all right, fine, we can do that. So to specialize in a certain part of it. Usually, what happens with those things, the job is simple, easy to learn, and pretty economical. So it works well for the organization, but it can lead to low satisfaction, high turnover. People are just, okay, I really don't like this. Too simple for me. I need more, and that way they could leave basically. Or it could be people are growing and they just need more challenges and they leave. So rotation, enlargement, enrichment. Again, that's the next job design processes. So you're at work, you're growing, and the manager or the company decide that, okay, we're going to give you the opportunity to learn more. So they probably put in a rotation process where you're learning different parts of the company, basically on a specialized basis. The enlargement, increase the number of tasks you're doing, you're performing, and the enrichment piece of it is giving you more authority. So not just task anymore, even though you're adding tasks, but you're also getting authority to do the job. And then last but not least, the characteristics model that they're referring to is totally redesigning what you're working on so that if you're growing, so for example, you get a job and you're growing in the job, several years later, you are part of the leadership team, but you really don't have a title yet, but they need to keep you or they want to motivate you to stay, they can redesign a job and give it to you to do. And the emphasis there is internal motivation, right? So they want the experience for the worker to be meaningful, have some responsibility, and gain knowledge, basically, of probably grooming that person to become CEO, CFO, or something like that. So this is what the job characteristics model will look like in design, where you're taking the job, you restructure it, you rephrase it to give it different name, different skills attached to it, different authority. So again, the goal here is internal work motivation, high growth satisfaction, job satisfaction, work effectiveness. So typically, the design techniques come from combining tasks, looking at how you can establish client relationship, how you can think of feedback channel where they're getting feedback from probably some higher mentors. Those things are usually common and can work through. So then we think about designing the organizational process and what does that look like. So usually it's an intra-organizational process where we're re-engineering empowerment and behavioral informality. And we'll again dive deep into these three things, just look what they mean, what they're talking about, what they're trying to understand. So as the word re-engineering basically probably implied to you is looking at what you're working in and fundamentally rethinking and radically redesigning that business processes. So again, the aim is to make the task a little bit more challenging, a little bit more dynamic, a bit more engaging for you. So the intention is to basically look at it that way, change your organization from probably the orientation, sorry, from probably vertical to horizontal. So ideally, again, it's just re-engineering the process so it's more challenging. If it was easy this way, you're used to it, change it so it's more challenging to you. And also look at the task interdependent. Who are you reporting to with the job, and then move it around, change it differently. So again, the whole thing is just re-engineering, just making changes to the process so it's more challenging, more engaging for you as you move through your career path. So empowerment is empowering the worker. So again, giving them the ability to make decisions, the responsibility to make decisions, take on more interesting job lines, more challenging job roles, basically. So there's an intrinsic motivation, internal motivation going on. So again, it's employees are capable of self-determination. So they want to grow, they want to learn more, they want to move up the corporate ladder. This is basically what they're giving them the opportunity to do, and then it's your role or job to decide whether you want to take it. When we look at behavior informality, again, this just says how you dress for the how you behave, how you dress, how you act, what is that's going on, your routine. And this sometimes can depend on the type of organization you're working for. Typically, if you're working for a tech company, it might be pretty informal, casual behavior. While if you're working for a law firm or a bank, it might be a little bit more formal, routine and regimen, very specific behavior. So this, that could just boil down between industries. And there's also a few other like virtual organization and modular organizations, which primarily just looking at how you again set up the organization in a way that certain activities are outsourced versus basically in the organization. So there's a set of activities that are outsourced. Uh, there's some advantage and disadvantage. You can take a look at some of those. What cost wise might be because you're doing things that reduce cost, but you might lose some control because you're outsourcing some of the things, right? So you're outsourcing a few of the things. The same thing with the virtual organization. Certain things that you get in terms of skills, capabilities, all those things are more adequately aligned. That covers chapter 9. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will move into chapter 10, the next session. I will talk to you soon.